Hi everybody, Gisele Grenier here from artplace.ca. For today's workshop, we're going to be creating another background. We're getting close to the end. We only have 2 more pages like this, but I also have another ring-bound journal that I finally found a use for it's a recollections chipboard set, and I cut some paper out to fit with that so I can continue on with the rest of these backgrounds. So, but for the Strathmore journal, I've only got 2 more pages left, which is the back of this one and the back of this one, and then the Strathmore journal is full. What you want to do, and I explained this in the previous video, is that if you're doing the entire Bob and Doug 2013 series, that you really should have your journal full of backgrounds ready to go. But in saying that, there's nothing wrong with leaving a few blank pages. That way you can spontaneously create something. I know for a fact that there will be some backgrounds in what I have done. This is now video number 21. No, video 22. I do know that in the previous 21 videos, I'm sure there's going to be more than one that I will find absolutely no use for. I'll just cover it up with gesso and just create something else. But it's always nice to have something blank if your muse speaks to you and says, do this. All right. So I'm going to basically apply some gesso onto this. And it's going to use my little number 8 bristle. I'm just going to scrape them. Now this was in water, so it will take a little bit longer to dry. Excuse me. And what I need to do is I just need to get a ground down so the pastels will have something to stick to. Also supplies are listed at the end of the video, what I end up actually using. What I will be doing with this is a soft pastel background on this, and then I will come in with some little watercolors in the pan. And I've got a tray of watercolors as well, but that's being reserved for the next video. Come in with the roller. I can come in and do something with stenciling. So I'm not sure if I'll use all of this, but I have it out ready. Quickly set this with the heat gun. Gesso, you traditionally want to let it sit for 24 hours to cure, but we're just doing journal pages, backgrounds, so I'm not going to worry about it. Ideally, the best thing to do is to prime, if your pages are a little bit thinner and you do want to add some strength to them, is prime all your journal pages way ahead of time. That way you don't have to waste time doing this. There may be leave some pages though unprimed, because that you may not, there may be some techniques that you don't need to do that with. I just thought of something I want to do. But you know what? I don't have the time for the drawing right now. Darn. Actually, maybe, Okay. I'm gonna do something else in this as well. I'll do that as the last piece. Okay, so let's tone this first. So because I did the last piece with the blues and greens and that, let's do something kind of frilly and fancy. Let's go with some pretty soft colors. Pretty soft. Pretty soft isn't in my vocabulary. We'll go with, let's take this pink and this white. So I'm going to put white down first. And you will not be able to see it, I guarantee it. Now I'm going to come in with the pink. I'm going to come back in with the white. Got a lot of dust going on here. I'm going to take my hand and I'm going to push that into here. You can use a blending stump if you want. You can use a paper towel, that's fine. I just constantly using my hands to do blending. On fine art pieces though, I don't, because I don't want to get the natural oils to transfer onto the pastel piece. What's on the back of this anyways? Oh, M and the butterfly. So this just lightly tones the piece. You see how that's nicely toning it? If you wanted to leave it rough like that, just put fixative on it right away. I want to try to capture the butterfly. There we go. So I'm going to take this, just going to tilt it down a bit. And I'll just bring that up to the top, because I'll use that for my mix. And I'm going to use my big brush for this. And I'm going to work my way down. Nice and soft. Big X strokes. Your page will be mega strong with this. And as you're feeling that there's not really any paint going down, it's just kind of dragging, dip into some more gesso. Where the butterfly is, this may work, this may not. No, it didn't work. I was kind of hoping to be able to capture the edges of the texture stuff on the back. Oh, Mia came in here to lay down. In the last video, we actually took a knife and we scraped this on. And I'm just going to do this right over the gesso. It's quite thick there. Leave that the way it is. And I put the brush back in water. Oh my goodness. I just want something a little bit darker here while it's wet. And you can choose to blend this to your desire. You don't have to blend it. You can leave it the way it is. I'm trying to show as many different things as possible. Okay, just something rough like that. Okay. I'm going to cover this. Now I'm going to put the pastels away. Oh my goodness. Okay. I'm going to hit this with the heat gun just for a sec. Now you don't have to do this with pastels, you can do it with water. I just want to show you that what you can do with pastels and paint. Sometimes you may not have the color you want in paint, and it's very easy to get it just with pastel and gesso. If you don't want to dilute, you know what? Why don't we try an experiment? Why don't we try an experiment? Oh, there it is. Let's grab something brighter. Let's try this experiment. What if we used a medium? I could use glazing medium. No. Extender and blending medium. Let's try that. I could. Yeah, let's put the extender on there first. This is all dry now. There's no more gesso. So let's see if we can intensify the pastel, but there's no gesso. So this should be full strength because the extender and blending medium is transparent. And you can use for this any extender. Yeah, look how vibrant that is. Very creamy. Beautiful. There, I just figured out something else. Beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Now, let's try, you know how I always like to use my mop brush to soften, like to hypnotize areas? Let's see if that would work too. Yep. It works. Just tickle with the mop brush. There we go. Cool, eh? How neat is that? Well, there we go. So we found something we can use. But I would think that any medium, you just have to experiment with what you've got, and that should work. Now, because it is an extender, this will take longer to dry, so I'm going to basically speed it up with the heat gun. With the heat gun, it doesn't take too long. And I want to now do some washes of color on here with the little watercolor pan. Now, watercolor pans is something you can find it at art stores, but usually at places like Walmart and Staples and stuff like that. Basically retail stores, in the kids sections, Crayola has them, I believe. But they're great for kids, and this is a nice project. So if you're more an advanced artist, then you can use your professional products. But if you've got kids that want to try this and you don't want your kids or grandkids or nieces or nephews or whatever, you don't want them using your expensive art products, have them try it with stuff like this. What's the worst that can happen? They have way too much fun, right? Get kids to write stories and stuff like that. Get them off the computer. Get them away from video games, that type of thing. Mind you, if you're watching this video, you're either on the computer or you're watching the DVD. All right. So my little set comes with a little brush. Way too small for me, but it's great for sketching. So I'm going to be really messy, and I'm going to spray my pan. And I can turn around then if I want to do a sketch. So let's say I just want to, I don't know, sketch something. I can turn around and I can just turn around and just draw with the brush. Okay, just something really, really rough. A red house. I don't know. Don't even ask. I have no idea. And I could, but see how rough this is? I'm not spending a heck of a lot of time. I always think houses with two wings at it looks like two eyes and a mouth. And then, you know, we have our path type of thing. You know, you can just with a little bit of blue for sky. It doesn't matter, okay? But then you can add some watercolor to it. The other thing you can do with this is if we go with a much larger brush, do I have, yeah, this one here. Move. Oh, this one here. Turn around. Let's go back with this blue. And just on the outside, the brush edge to the outside, and it makes it nice and dark. And it automatically looks distressed, because what's happening is that the texture of the gesso and the pastel is grabbing, and you're getting a visual mix that turns into purple. I always like the brush, so the brush facing the outside, because that's where the paint is the most intense. And just kind of then flatten the brush and just zigzag. So you're almost like you're creating a frame. But see the solid line? Break that up, so you don't get a solid line. And here I can just go across. So I have no idea if I'm going to keep this book bound. but I'm going to assume that I am, and I'm not, so I'm covering both. So if I do rip it out of its, if I do cut these off, then at least I have a frame here. But if I keep it in the book, then I have a frame there. That should make sense. Okay, so I have a little bit of a frame there, and I can go with, you know, with a darker blue. Let's dry this first. So these are watercolors, so they're water soluble. So if you want to fix it where it doesn't dissolve, next color you put on top, put some fixative on it. Can come in with them with a darker blue. Okay. This is quite dry now. I love the dry brush look with watercolors. These are great when you're doing painting outdoors because they're so convenient. Okay. And all I'm going to do is just go in and in and in and in. So I can go now, it might be a bit soon for pink, but, and the pink, it goes a bit in the blue, will turn purple. And you just bring it down and bring it down and bring it down. And just turn it around. Okay. And so on and so forth. So it looks like it's a frame that's coming in. And from here, I mean, you can just, you know, do what you want. If I were to turn around, let's say we want to do something with a bit of texture. Oh, let me reach. Bring my palette. This here, for what I'm going to do next, really doesn't work because you've got the pen. So I'm going to move this aside. And I'm going to grab, I want gouache. I can use the watercolors, but I want to use gouache because it's more opaque. And if I want something really dark, I know there's a Prussian blue here. Prussian blue. I'm just going to go straight across like this. And while I'm at it, I'm going to grab some white. This is just the Essentials watercolor. This one is the Artist Paint from Langnickel. This is the gouache, and this is just Essentials. This is more for students. And if I want to do this dry, that'll be fine, but the sponge is going to absorb so much paint, so I'm just going to put some water in here. This is just so it'll load more of the roller. Okay. I could actually take the paper. I could take the paper and just roll it right on here. Wicked, wicked. I will do that, but I want on a different piece of paper. Let me do this one first. I'm getting sidetracked. And just line them up the best you can. Pretty neat, eh? Just to add whatever, okay? And then from here, I can go let me just do the transfer on this one. Where's my paper? I'll just take the pad of watercolor paper. These I'll end up using anyways in the actual Doug series for the pockets and tabs and stuff like that. Then I can just... This is mono printing. Lift up. Here we go. So you've got that. And then your ghost print, which is always the second one. The second one is usually the nicest one. Don't slide your paper, otherwise you'll smear everything. That's always the nicest one. While we're here, let's grab a stencil. That it doesn't matter what, okay, but just something with a large opening on it. The letter H, and we'll go right in here, backwards though, because your mono printing is always backwards. And I'm out of the acrylic paper, or the watercolor paper. There we go. So I'll just go to the canvas paper. Before that dries. And I'm going to go right over the whole thing. You can basically just wipe out the excess. To me it doesn't matter because I can cut it with scissors. See? And then the ghost print. There may not be much of that left. Oh, not much, but it's enough. And you can cut that off and collage that. I've shown this a few times, but now let's dry this first. Now gouache is like an opaque watercolor, okay? So what I'm going to do next is going to smudge all this stuff. If I didn't want to smudge it, I would put fixative on there. Because I'm going to take the gouache that's here and a baby wipe. So all this is water soluble. And I'm just going to clean the stencil over here and pad. Try not to rub because I don't want to disturb the blocks. Grab from the outside edge and just pad, attempting to clean the stencil, which is not working. It's not working. So I'll just stipple with the baby wipe. If I wanted to that badly, I could come in with a short shader and put the blocks back in. The amount of work it would take to line up the squares on the sponge roller, it would take too long. So put the blocks the blocks back in. And then wipe them back out. Just so it'll look like it fits in the background and not something as an afterthought. See? You just distress them. Now again, this is water soluble, so this I can leave on my stencil and not worry about it. How cool is that? How cool? Yeah, I can leave my stencil because it'll just dissolve back out. Okay, and put that aside. All this stuff here, so we don't waste it, just spray with a little bit of water, and then come back with more paper and just do more prints. See? Well, let's say you've got enough blocks for the prints. Okay, well, you can take a different type of roller. Just going to try to load a little bit of paint on it. Very, very light amount of paint. You can also do this with different colors. I'm just using what's there. And then you can do something different. Not overdoing it. Okay, I did lose my house a little bit though. I did lose my house. This looks very distressed. Okay, I can leave that. It'll come clean very easy. And what I can also do, now this has to dry, okay, what I can also do is then, when that's dry, is I can take these cute little stencils and put them on top. It's just the way they are, it's just to create, it's just a background, okay, and then I can stamp over those. I can also include the spaces in between. This is all dry now, so I'm going to take these here, and I actually can use the whole thing as is, or I can put these further apart. And I'm not going to line them up perfectly straight. I'm going to use these little blocks as my guides. Actually, if I can use this, you can do this any way you want. Oh yeah, I'm too far apart. I was going to do this off camera, but just to show you my process, that I might have some different ways of doing it. Oh, let me go right over the H. Why not? I lost my house. I'm going to end up drawing that back in. There we go. So, A, B, C. Actually, just to save some time, I'll do the rest off camera. Or I'll just speed it up for you. Got some with that. Yeah, I'll just take some black. Black might be a bit dark. Well, well, you know what? Let me try with some white. You can do this with acrylic paint as well. And I'm going to go over the whole thing. Be careful of the outside edge that I don't lose anything. Especially taking more care going inside the letters. The nice thing when you're using something like this, because it's water soluble, you don't have to clean your brushes or your stencils right away. If you want to go, I'll pick up a bit of water. If you want to go just inside the stencil, then just use a smaller brush. I decided to wet the brush and just, oops, that shouldn't have happened. Just to show you the difference. Just going inside. Now we would technically need to let this sit until it dries, because when you lift off the stencil, the paint might just run. So you just use a little bit of water. You can go with a smaller brush to do this as well. Oops, forgot this one. So I dry brush these. Gonna go back. Okay. I'm just gonna take a baby wipe. Just gonna gently touch the tops. I don't know what I'm going to get with this. Oh, we'll see. I'm going to go with a... Where's my knife? I don't know if it'll be enough. No. It's still a little bit transparent. Let's try this one. Oh, see, dry it works fine with the stippling. The water actually just took away from the whole thing. The white's a little bit hard to see here. I just didn't feel like using black. There's one. Oh, that went underneath the stencil a little bit. I didn't push hard enough. I didn't push hard enough. So what I'll do then is I will just mop up the excess paint, and let's just go back and dry brush this dry. Because we know that works. I can even go around the whole thing if I wanted to, just to create that extra little frame. And if you didn't want it to be water soluble, then just go with the acrylics. To me it doesn't matter because I already have the product out, so I'm not worried about it. Because I have no idea what I'm going to end up doing with this page. This was just I guess like a surprise project type of thing. Whoops, I moved that. Basically all this stuff I'm just going to end up putting it into a bucket. And we'll just remove all of these. Oops. Go. Remember, this is just a background. I could very easily just add a few embellishments and then it would become more of a journal page, but you can, with all the backgrounds that I'm showing you, you can do them on a journal page. You can do them on Masonite canvas. Whoops. Whoops again. That was probably one of the more common words that I use was whoops. Careful not to cut your stencils too. There we go. Let me just dry this. Because we used it thick, it'll take a little bit longer to dry. And now if I wanted to create areas to do writing, this is still beyond really what needs to be done, is I've got this really cool stencil, journaling stencil. I've got two. I'm going to use this one instead. I've got these really, really cool journaling stencils, but I like this little T one. So I can go right over the letter H. Then I can take a nano liner, and I can take, they come in blue, green, I want black, I want the biggest one, 0.5. Is that the biggest one? And these are permanent, so I can just scribble, not filling it in totally, scribbling to make the lines look really, really choppy. And I went off the paper, trying to go right into this part here in case I do keep the book bound. This wasn't quite dry. And just go down. Then I can leave that for when I want to do more writing. Now, if you don't have liners or you don't have a stencil, you can basically just hand do something like this, or take a nice, take a brush with a nice chisel edge in the black paint, and you can just go straight across like this to make nice journaling lines. Nice chisel edge, and that'll work as well. The other thing that'll work is if you take, I've got this little sketching set here, and you can take like a really nice hard pastel or hard drawing stick, and you can make the lines much stronger. Let me go with white. Yeah, see, this isn't really good for this. It's because the paint's gone on here. All it is just glazing over. There really isn't much happening with that. Let me go to a darker color. If I took green, there we go. A little bit of the green just inside. Just gonna go on the outline like this. And this is dry now. I can also just go make a line on the outside of my frame, my square. Okay, come in here and I can just color inside where the numbers are. And the gouache was going to grab the pencil or the stick. What else? You can come in with paint. If I want to go in with my little pan tray again, if I want to just make something nice and vibrant, come in with, well, let's say yellow. Oh, I'd have some blue paint in there. Again, this isn't totally intense, and I can just come in. That's ugly. Oh God, that's disgusting. That is ugly. Because there's green in there, or it was blue in my brush. Come in and put some of that over there. Take a baby wipe, pad, and it'll just neutralize the colors a bit. But you can really do anything at this point with some of the things that you've got going on. Take some water with some gouache, and I can come in. A bit more water than that, and put little dots. And here I can go just beside the steam from my little teapot, my little teacup I should say. This is beyond what we need to do for a background. I'm just kind of having fun here. And I can just sketch a little teacup. Keeping in mind this is water soluble. Okay. I could even take this and just go little dots inside the squares. I could add white outlines around here. Again, it's water soluble, so it's going to blend with other water soluble pieces. Okay, so you get my point with this. Anyway, so that's it. So there's another nice little rough background that you can use, and let it dry. A few coats is fixative. Otherwise, if you want it totally water soluble, then just leave it the way it is. As long as you maybe put a post-it note that it is water soluble, so you don't accidentally do something on it and then you end up losing all this detail. I'm just kind of blending that out a little bit to diffuse that. There we go. So that's it. So just let it dry. Like I said, leave it unprotected if you want it to remain water soluble. Otherwise, a few layers of fixative and it's ready to receive some embellishments. So I hope that you enjoyed this workshop and that you'll join me again next time. Stay inspired.